This is Plant-Based Briefing. Why are fireworks harmful to wild animals and what can replace them? Part 2 by Letty Curie at faunalytics.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. This is the curated content plant-based podcast where I narrate articles related to plant-based and vegan living with permission in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. But this article was a bit longer than that, so it's a two-parter. I read part 1 yesterday, so go back and listen to that first, and then jump back here for part 2. And now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Why are fireworks harmful to wild animals, and what can replace them? Part 2 by Letty Curie at faunalytics.org. Secondary effect, pollution. In addition to noise, the explosion of fireworks pollutes the air, soil, and water. In fact, concentrations of particulate matter, metals, and other particles such as perchlorate can increase significantly with their use. Suspended particles can remain in the air for weeks, and some can cause health problems in humans, such as respiratory or cardiovascular disorders, which is why complaints related to such health problems decrease when fireworks are banned. Of course, if these pollutants are harmful to human health, it's safe to assume that animals can suffer from them as well, even though few studies have been conducted on such topics. Worse yet, since animals directly consume polluted plants, breathe polluted air, roam polluted lands, and swim in and drink polluted water, their associated health problems may be even more acute than those of humans. How many individuals are negatively affected by fireworks? Despite the frequent use of fireworks, it is difficult to estimate how many are used each year. Given that there is evidence that fireworks affect birds as far as 10 kilometers away, we can reasonably assume that each firework affects at least several hundred animals and potentially several thousand. For large celebrations with many scattered shots, such as New Year's Eve, the victims could reach millions. On New Year's Eve in the Netherlands alone, several 100,000 birds fled from fireworks. Although the worst is certainly the moment the fireworks go off and the hours that follow, these birds then have to search for more food to recover their expended energy for a period that can last for more than 10 days. Of course, if other land animals, aquatic animals, and small animals such as insects also suffer and can be added to the list of those affected, the impact estimates could potentially reach billions of negatively affected individuals. There's no denying that the spectacle of fireworks appeals to many people. However, even taking into account these short-lived pleasures, the animals who suffer and sometimes die from the noise and pollution caused by each firework tip the balance heavily and indisputably to the negative. People who want to have a positive impact on the world by improving the lives of others and who do not want to have a negative impact by causing unnecessary suffering and death should therefore avoid and even discourage the use of fireworks wherever possible. Solutions and alternatives. To avoid harming animals, the use of fireworks would have to be limited to areas with no animals within a radius of at least 10 kilometers, which is extremely unlikely even in dense cities. Another potential solution would be to use fireworks that do not emit as much noise or pollutants. Quieter fireworks are available on the market. They're often said to emit a noise of about 60 decibels, which is much lower than the noise of conventional fireworks, which often exceed 90 decibels and can peak at 150 and probably more. However, we must remain cautious. There is no certainty that said fireworks are actually quieter, or that such noise wouldn't harm animals as well. Ideally, this claim should be backed up by evidence and certified by a label. Regarding pollution, it is possible to make fireworks that are more environmentally friendly, but the majority of fireworks on the market are not. What's more, assuming we can find them, the same problem arises with quieter fireworks. Before you use them, you need proof that the environmental promise isn't just greenwashing, but such proof doesn't seem to exist at the moment. To ensure that as few animals as possible are harmed, fireworks need to be both quieter and greener, not just one or the other. Still, if you have to make a choice, buying quieter or greener fireworks is already much better than buying conventional ones. More ethical alternatives include light drones. These are much quieter and don't pollute the environment unless they fall into the wild and are not recovered. However, most models still produce some noise, which increases with the number of drones in flight. The loudest can exceed 100 decibels, so it's very important to choose the quietest models. Furthermore, care must be taken to ensure that drones and lights do not harm animals for other reasons, which remains a possibility. See details linked here. To be on the safe side, they should always be used in places where there are as few animals as possible. Light kites, linked here, may be the most ethical alternative and should be preferred to drones. Because they are slower and quieter than drones, the risk of frightening animals is greatly reduced. Such displays have already taken place, as in Arcachon, France in 2023, linked here. If there is no alternative available to us, as more ethical options can have a significant financial cost, the use of conventional fireworks should still be avoided. After all, they're not compulsory when we want to enjoy New Year's Eve or provide our children with an unforgettable birthday. The importance of fireworks in human culture is not set in stone and can change. It's up to us to find new objects or rituals that allow us to experience joyful moments without causing suffering to others, which will make our celebrations all the more beautiful. You just listened to Why Are Fireworks Harmful to Wild Animals and What Can Replace Them by Letty Curé at faunalytics.org, and I'm your host, Marian Erickson. And I've done a couple of other episodes about fireworks, which I'll link in the show notes, but you may want to check out 694, 7 Tips for a More Sustainable Holiday Celebration, and 45, How Fireworks Harm Non-Human Animals. So check those out and please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.